Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune because after this I'm going to be posting What If Naruto Was Neglected by Everyone. So stay in tune for that, and I do hope you guys enjoy. And over on Anime King 2, I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Izuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor. And after that, I'm going to be posting What If the 10 Tails was sealed inside of Naruto. So stay in tune for that as well, guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, guys. And also, comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So yeah guys, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails.
So, the last spot we left off, Naruto went to visit Mikoto and Sasuke with his mother at the hospital, as she was awake, and Sasuke looked rather lifeless as his eyes seemed to look like they didn't have any hope anymore. As Naruto watched as his mother talked to Mikoto. As Naruto smiled, he did something right, as his mother said she couldn't have lived without Mikoto, knowing that her friend had perished in that attack. As Naruto was happy that he made the right choice by talking to Itachi. As Mikoto asked to talk to Naruto alone, as Sasuke didn't want to go. As Mikoto told Kushina to take Sasuke, he hasn't eaten anything or he hasn't slept. Naruto walked over and simply chopped Sasuke in the back of the neck, knocking him out. As Kushina picked him up and headed off. As Mikoto told Naruto that she knew. It seems like Itachi told her about what happened, and in her eyes Naruto is her savior, her hope. As Naruto felt different. It was really strange to know that someone believed in him so much, as he gave her a short smile and told her that he will keep continuing to protect her. And with that he headed off. Sasuke, Naruto and Kushina was having dinner. Well, Kushina and Naruto, as Sasuke didn't want to eat anything, as Kushina was telling him to eat, but he didn't want to eat. As Kushina placed a hand on his shoulder, he smacked it away and started to curse at her. That was a big mistake, as Naruto grabbed him by the shoulder and threw him into the kitchen. As Naruto took up a pan and slapped him across the face and told him to watch his mouth when he come to his mother. Naruto told him that he has been through worse and told him to stop crying like a little baby and told him to go and apologize to his mother. And that Sasuke did, as the group then fell asleep that night. The next morning, Naruto and Sasuke were training, as Sasuke's attacks were vicious and wild, as Naruto knocked him down and told him to stop acting so crazy. As Ino then brought Naruto to the Ichiraku ramen stand, as she was sad that he was going to leave, as he told her that he will miss her, as she thought that he was lying, but he told her that he will miss her annoying him, hearing that she smiled, as she knew that he would think about her when he was gone. The time then came as the group headed out of Konoha, as the people on the street saw them leaving, and a smile was on their faces, knowing that the demon brat and his mother was leaving the village, as they were accompanied by Kakashi and Yujiro, the Anvu. The group then headed off. The group was attacked by Danzo's man, even though all of them died before they could capture them, as Danzo had seals on them, as their body burst into flames, incinerating any evidence. As Kakashi knew that they were part of the Foundation though, as he sent word back to Sarutobi. It seems like Sarutobi was right, Danzo didn't want the Nine Tails leaving the village. As with that the group headed off, as they were protected by the dozen Anvu squads that Sarutobi sent in the shadows, and the Sand Anvu squads as well. The group finally then made it towards the Sand village. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. If you guys enjoyed this, remember to comment down below and tell me, and yeah. So without further ado, let's begin this right now. The group finally arrived to the gates of the Sand village. The Kazekage was surrounded by two of his children, another man, and 2 gate guards. Raza, the Kazekage, smiled as he saw his guests arrive in one piece and looking good. What he had to do for the sake of the Sand Village, this had to be done. There was value with treating these people with care, and he could not deny this. The future excited him. He couldn't wait to see the look on the people's faces when they found out that he once House, the son of the 4th Hokage, the yellow flash in his house, and the boy was going to marry his daughter. For some time there, Raza as even wonder should he let the secret slip that Naruto was here. Konoha would have been forced to come out of the shadows, and he would be right there with Naruto and his mother. He kept his smile on his face as his eyes went towards Naruto. Naruto had a book in his hand with that usual blank expression on his face. As he looked at the book, it was Fuinjutsu. According to Kushina, Naruto was deep in understanding the theory of Fuinjutsu. Naturally, this pleased Raza. He had thought of asking Kushina to teach one of his underlings Fuinjutsu as well. The Sand had a great shortage in Fuinjutsu users. Hell, he couldn't even say that he had a seal master. Those old people had left the village, and those remaining were good, but they were not good enough. And perhaps Kushina could even fix a seal on Gaara. Yes, maybe she could. Naruto held the Kyuubi inside of him, and it was soundly asleep. And Gaara was a failure in his current form, according to Raza's eyes, as he is unstable and unpredicted. So right now, he's a failure, but if Kushina can fix his seal, he could be of some value. With that plan in mind of asking for her help, he greeted them. Hello Kushina, hello Naruto, glad to see you make it to the Sand Village okay. He then turned to the secondary people. Yes, he could call the famous Kakashi Hatake, the Sharingan user, a secondary to Naruto. He may be powerful and feared, but to the Sand, he had no benefit. His only use right now is to shape Naruto into an excellent shinobi. As Raza greeted them, as he then turned to see Naruto interact with his daughter. As Naruto had a smile, it was small, but a smile nonetheless. Hello Temari, Naruto said, smiling a bit, as he could not forget his mother had told him to smile to Temari, well, all girls, and he had become used to Temari. Hello Naruto, Temari said, as she gave a short bow, as Naruto waved off Temari formalities. No need for that, he said. I understand, as a Kazekage's daughter, you are taught right discipline, and manners, and proper etiquette, and acting for the part. But we're just kids, we can be excused for forgetting a few things. Hearing that, Temari smiled, but she doubted that her father would allow her to forget her manners. Come on, she said, as Naruto followed the girl, as Kakashi went with them, as Yuji would stay behind with Kushina. As Raza smiled. They're getting along quite well, he said to Kushina, as he was leading her to his house. Naturally, one day Naruto will marry Temari, and Gaara will befriend Naruto, and one day both boys will become Kages. As Raza wanted to shape Gaara into the Kazekage, Kankuro was not fit for that job, so he wanted Kushina to fix a seal. Yes, said Kushina, it's refreshing to see. I think if we had a little more time they will become great friends. Raza nodded. Temari, maybe older by 1, but she still has a few issues and she doesn't speak her mind. But Naruto doesn't have any problem with that, Raza said. He takes after his mother, Kushina said happily. I hope he don't take everything from his mother, Raza said smiling, as there were certain characteristics that he didn't want Naruto to get from Kushina. What's that supposed to mean? Asked Kushina. Raza waved her off. Nothing, he said. Meanwhile, with Naruto, I didn't know that you know how to speak to girls, Kakashi said to the blonde. Overall, he was playing his cards right with Temari. The first step of making her comfortable has been executed perfectly, and now they were talking peacefully. As Naruto looked at Kakashi, what gave you that idea? Oh, well, your interaction with girls in Konoha, said Kakashi. How does he interact with other girls? Temari asked, looking at Kakashi, as she was curious. Well, if he isn't ignoring them, he's telling them that they're annoying, Kakashi said. Temari smiled. That's exactly sound like him, she said. I feel honored that he doesn't do that with me. I think Ino would be the person if she find out about this, Kakashi said, as he looked towards Naruto. Really, Naruto could be uncaring towards a Yamanaka girl sometime. Ino, said Temari. Just some girl. A friend actually, Naruto said, before Kakashi could say anything. Where is your other brother? Naruto asked. Gaara? Temari said. As Naruto did not respond, Kankuro was here, so which other brother would he be talking about? As Kakashi sighed looking at that, well, Naruto will always be Naruto. I don't know, I haven't seen him since this morning, Temari said. There was something in her tone that made Naruto look at her curiously. She felt like she was worried about him, but Naruto didn't say anything about it though. I see, Naruto said, looking at the sky. As he then turned towards Kakashi. When do you leave? He asked. Tomorrow morning. I'm going to take the rest of the day as my time off and enjoy what the Sand Village has to offer. You always have time off, Naruto said, as Kakashi merely shrugged. He then turned towards Temari. Did they plan anything for us for this day? Naruto asked, as he knew that they must have planned something. Whenever he was here, it was like a big thing. Yes, a few things, said Temari. Have all plans cancelled, Naruto said. We can do something later, perhaps dinner. I just want to take a nap right now. Temari nodded. I will do so, she said. As she understood, he must be tired. The next day, Kushina walked towards the kitchen in the Kazekage residence with a small smile on her face. She felt like a heavy burden has been lifted off her shoulder. Perhaps it was because she wouldn't have to worry about anyone trying anything on her or her son. As she was glad for that, Naruto was happy here. And he was actually treating that girl well, Temari. As Kushina was very pleased to see this. And with how things were flowing, she wouldn't mind staying here for a whole month. It will give Naruto a chance to interact with other people. He needed the positive atmosphere that was within this village. Kushina sat down as Naruto had just finished his lunch as Temari was still eating. You've settled in rather well, Kushina said to Naruto, smiling a bit. Naruto nodded. We have been coming here, so it's nothing new. And besides, the atmosphere here is better than Konoha. As he then looked towards his mother, you look really happy as well, he said, as she smiled. As if this was home, he wouldn't have any problems, and his mother will always be happy here. In this village, his fate for humanity wasn't that low. But this led to the conclusion that Konoha people were just utter trash. I am just so excited about traveling around the elemental nations. There is so many places I want to see, and also there is that, she said, as she didn't want to say it out loud in front of Temari. But Naruto would get it, it's about the other Uzumakis. I truly hope we are able to find something, Naruto said. The Senju compound is a bit too big for two people. Well, now that we have vacated, perhaps it will be different when we return. The thought of the revival of the Uzumaki clan did give Naruto a sense of purpose. He will no longer focus on his mother only, but the clan as well. As Naruto relished the responsibility, it would make his mother happy, and it would fill up a few gaps in his heart. As Temari looked between mother and son, they seemed to get along just fine. To think that these two were the family of the fourth Hokage. It seems unbelievable. They didn't act like it. But Temari felt a ping in her heart, seeing how the both of them were so open with each other and happy all the time. As it made her miss her mother, she wondered, would she be happy if her mother was alive? Would she chat with her mother like the way Naruto talked with his? When we return to Konoha, we should stop by here and take Temari with us. She still haven't visited our home, Kushina said, but Naruto simply shrugged. Naruto, Kushina threatened. As Naruto smiled, that's a lovely idea, he said. She hasn't seen our new home. Perhaps it's a time to see it. Perhaps she should even call you Mom. Did you just make a joke? Asked Kushina. As she never saw or hear Naruto make a joke about sharing her. I believe he did, Temari said, finally speaking out loud. What is this new home you're talking about? She asked. We're living in the Senju compound. Due to technicalities, it has become our new home, Naruto said. Does that mean you're related to the Senju? Asked Temari. Yes, it does, said Naruto. I thought you'd know this by now. As Temari shook her head, I wasn't told, she said. As Naruto stared at Temari, as she then turned her head, as she blushed a bit. Naruto, Kushina smiled. Don't make Temari blush. You can't stare at her like that. I have lots of information stored in my head. After you finish eating, I can fill you up, Naruto said. As Temari nodded. As the Kazekage then appeared, wonderful to see everyone getting along. As he then turned to Kushina, this is him. Can you take a look and see if you can fix it? Or put in a new part, he said. as all eyes turned to Gaara, who was holding a stuffed bear. As Naruto looked Gaara directly in the eyes, as Gaara simply stared back at him. As Naruto got up and walked over to Gaara, he didn't look that insane. As Naruto was also curious, looking at another human housed in a bijou, as his heart had a strange feeling towards Gaara, and he couldn't grasp it, he couldn't understand this feeling. But it wasn't a bad feeling. Was he simply excited to see another Jinchuriki? To find someone who has something in common with him? So many questions, as Naruto was standing directly in front of Gaara, just a few feet apart. As Naruto's intense stare, even though he didn't want to, it was making Gaara rather uncomfortable. "Naruto," said Kushina, "don't stare at him like he's some sort of puzzle." Naruto blinked as Kushina kneeled down beside him. "Hello, Gaara-chan," she said. "We haven't been introduced, but I'm Kushina, Naruto's mother," she said, as she held out her hand. As Gaara stared at her for a full minute, as he then extended his own hand. As he touched her hand, it was soft and warm, as he realized she didn't mean any harm. Kushina then picked up Gaara, as Gaara was too shocked to say anything. She held him up like a newborn baby. As Kushina saw Naruto's eyebrow twitch, "I knew it," she said. "You were just making a joke back then." Naruto merely shrugged. "I will check to see later. First thing first, I want to get to know him," Kushina said. As Raza nodded, "I will prepare a proper place for it." "Don't worry, I can create a barrier myself," she said. "Temari-chan, are you done?" As Temari nodded, "Let's go outside," she said. "You're coming along as well, Naruto," Kushina said. "After we fix Gaara, you can have a new friend, and Temari can have her brother back," said Kushina, as she was well aware how things work in the Kazekage residence relating to Gaara. "What's wrong with him?" Naruto asked, not caring that Gaara could hear him. "His seal, it's not like yours. His bijou is kind of crazy. He filled his head with madness. So much that he can't even sleep. If he does sleep, there is a possibility that the bijou might awake." "What a predicament," Naruto said. "Are you going to cut off the connection between the bijou and the host?" "That depends on the seal. I have to look at it first, but yes, the connection has to be cut so that Gaara can sleep in peace." "Can you really do it? I mean, make him better," Temari asked, hopefulness in her tone, as Kushina smiled. "Yes," she said. "Hear that, Gaara? I'll make the voices go away, and you will be loved once again." As Gaara simply nodded, as he could not smile. Time skip. "Don't space so like that, Naruto," Kushina said, as she hit him on the right shoulder. Naruto looked at his mother. Thankfully, she didn't call him by that inappropriate name in front of the two Sand siblings, as they were walking with Gaara and Temari, as the four of them were going somewhere where they can get to know each other. "You don't have to hit so hard, mother," Naruto said in a slight grumble. "I was thinking about important stuff." "It doesn't matter," Kushina said. "You have lots of time to think about other important matters. For now, it's just the four of us, and we need to use time wisely. We don't have enough time here, remember?" "Yes, mother," said Naruto. They certainly didn't have much time in this village. They have to embark on their training trip soon enough. They were just passing by, and after his mother fixed Gaara's seal, they will only stay here for a couple of days. As Naruto then drifted off, thinking again. "What are you thinking about?" asked Kushina, as she noticed his hand was on his stomach, where the seal that held the Kyuubi was located. It was unlike him to think about the bijou. He didn't talk much about it. "Bijou, and how incredible Fuinjutsu is," Naruto said. "He is like that because of his bijou, and the things that happened to him, right?" Naruto said, looking at Gaara. As Gaara was walking beside Kushina, as she was holding his hand. As that made Naruto twitch, as he didn't like to show it. As he didn't like to share his mother. Kushina nodded. Shikaku has always been known for madness. Given the kind of seal that was used, it would eventually drive him mad, but he hasn't gone mad yet, she said. Temari smiled sadly. "Our father hasn't been really kind to him since he failed to meet his expectations," she said. "I feel really bad that I can't help him." As Kushina smiled sadly, but she didn't say anything. As she looked at Naruto, it was his place to say something. Temari was his fiancé after all. As Naruto raised his eyebrow, as Kushina raised back her eyebrow, as both of them were talking with their eyebrow, as Naruto's eyebrow then lower, as he sighed. As Naruto looked at Temari, wondering how he would go about this one. "There is nothing you can do, really," he said. "There has been time we really want to change something. But there's nothing we can do. That is the reality of life. Perhaps to say that life is cruel suits it better. So because you're not powerful enough, you have to just watch and let things go along, asked Temari. Naruto shook his head slightly. When you can't do anything yourself, you have to look up to those who can do something. I have learned that there are things that I cannot change, and not everything can be changed alone by power. And when you can't do anything, you have to trust someone and hope that they can help you and change it for you. What happens when no one is there that you can trust? No one you can depend on, Temari asks. Then call it the end of life, Naruto said. As long as it isn't the end, there will be someone. You may find it difficult to depend and lean on someone. But my mother is here now, and I am here as well. You can depend on her, she will help your brother. And perhaps someday in the future, you can depend on me as well. As a big smile came on Temari's face, as Kushina flashed Naruto a grin, and an invisible thumbs up. Smile a bit, will you? To maximize the effects of your words, she said. The moment has passed, Naruto said with a shrug. Naruto, said Kushina, as Naruto didn't smile. Gaara looked at the pair and then looked at his hands that Kushina was holding, as their relationship. He found it curious. Both of them were talking, and they seemed to be liking each other's conversation. He had seen other children being held as well, and he wanted that. This is what it felt like to have a mother. Earlier, it felt weird when she picked him up. But it wasn't bad weird. He felt calm and nice. And he felt her presence coming off of her. It was warm and soothing. It was a new experience, and he liked that experience. So when Kushina let him go, he felt disappointed, as he wondered if she was just playing with him and stringing him along all this time. As Gaara just stopped staring out of space. Come on, Gaara, Kushina said, as they reached their destination, a quiet playground. Hugging his teddy bear, he slowly made his way over to her. What's wrong, she asked. Gaara shook his head, saying nothing, as he offered no words in response though. Perhaps he wasn't used to this kind of attention. He doesn't talk much, Naruto asked, as he looked at Gaara. If it was Sasuke, he would have smacked him over his head by now. But Gaara was a different kind of person, and there was no harm. Temari shook her head in response. It can't be helped, she said. No one, speak to him. Our father doesn't even look at him on a good day, and even though we care, he hardly responds to our attention in trying to start a conversation. After breakfast, he just get up and leave the house. Because it's awkward, Naruto said. Do you have anything to say to him when the both of you are just alone? It's difficult, said Temari, and in the end, I just don't say anything. But I do care, and I wish to change that. Well, he's right here, speak to him, Naruto said, as he took out his phone jutsu book. Temari blinked twice. She was talking so comfortably, and she hadn't actually registered the fact that Gaara was with them. She felt so free to speak as if he wasn't here, but now that she was brought back to reality, she didn't know what to say. She just smiled nervously and looked at Gaara, as Gaara gave her a blank stare, like he was daring her to say anything. The first step is always difficult, but once you take it, things will become easier, Naruto said, not looking away from his book. He knows that you're his older sister, remember that. You two do know that Gaara-chan can hear you, Kushina said, as she ruffled up Gaara's hair, as she was sitting right next to him. Naruto-chan is a mean person, is the Gaara-chan, Kushina said. Kushina then rubbed her chin. How about Gachan, she said. Gachan, Gaara said, speaking for the first time. Well, it's your new nickname, she said to him. Don't you like it? There was some kind of an aura around her that said that it didn't matter if he didn't like it or not, she would still continue to call him that. Gaara hugged his teddy bear and looked down. No one has called me like that, he said. Kushina smiled. If you like, I can call you many more sweet names. I have a lot for Naruto-chan. I can tell you some of them later, she whispered. Just the one is fine, Gaara said quietly. Don't tell me that you're jealous, Kushina said to Naruto, seeing how silent he was. Not at all, Naruto said quietly. I was just thinking about how sweet it is that you're doing something like this. You took us out here because you felt they needed this, right? You're diverted from the subject, Kushina said, but she nodded nonetheless. It's okay if you spend some time with him, Naruto said, looking into his book. I need to sort out a few things. I will join you shortly. Kushina sighed, but she didn't question Naruto. Come on, you two. Let's go and leave Mr. Broody all alone, she said. That said, she pulled Temari and Gaara away, as Naruto shook his head. A good thing his mother wasn't worried by his choice. Perhaps she understood his reasoning. With that in mind, he closed his eyes as he entered his mindscape. The place was just filthy. It wasn't that it smelled. No, the condition was just ridiculous. This was a damn sewer, for God's sake. And you stuff a Biju down here? Naruto did not have any personal hatred towards the Kyuubi. They were both stuck in a rather unpredictable situation together, and the beast was manipulated by the filthy Uchiha in attacking Konoha. As the drips, so damn annoying, water dripping into water. If he was down here 24/7, he would have probably gone insane already. As Naruto walked forward, in his eyes, the Biju wasn't the evil one. Instead, the humans were the evil one. As he walked through the water, he reached a large bars that formed the gate. As he saw the seal in array. As he saw the blood-red eyes open. As the Kyuubi appeared, his head rested on his paw. The Biju didn't say a word, he just stared at Naruto unblinking. As Naruto stared back. Naruto then spoke, "I can understand why the hypocrites fear you, but I can never fear you. Perhaps it's because I've been in contact with you since I was still forming in my mother's womb," Naruto said. "This does make me some kind of perfect Jinchuriki for you, don't you think?" Naruto asked. But the fox said nothing. "I don't like human either," Naruto said as he smiled in bitter amusement. "Yet I am human, and my mother is human as well. Still, humans are despicable creatures. My mother is not though. Perhaps she is the one that gave me this hope to believe not all humans are bad." The beast then closed his eyes. "What do you want, human?" he said as he snapped them back open. "My mother said to conquer your hatred, one must love, but I don't think I can do that. I think I can try to get along with your hatred though. Why do you even have this hatred to begin with? You hate human, but why? What are the reasons? Make me understand a few things. We both don't like humans, and I'm certain that you hate the Uchiha who manipulate you as well. Both of us are victims from an unfortunate accident. But we've been together since I was in my mother's womb. I have the marks to confirm that," Naruto said. "We will get along one day because we don't have a choice to make. And just make the best out of the situation." The Kyuubi snorted, "I have no plans of getting along with you, brat. You're human, and in the end, all human will turn the other way, eventually. I just told you, humans are despicable and I don't like them. I care not for other things in this world. All of it can burn to crisps. Being dragged into madness and chaos, I wouldn't care as long as I can keep my mother safe and happy." The Biju looked amused. "Your mother wouldn't approve of such words." "Neither your father," he said. "But for a first appearance, this is certainly interesting. Now get out of my space. I wish to rest." "No," Naruto said. "Tell me about that one-tailed Biju. You must have sensed it." The Kyuubi looked surprised for a moment that Naruto had said no so plainly. He then burst into laughter for a few seconds. "I don't like that crazy Tanuki anyway. What do you wish to know?" A few minutes later, Naruto was pulled out of his mindscape when he felt a tug on his shoulder. As he turned and saw it was Gaara. "Your mother said to call you," Gaara said. Naruto held out his right hand as Gaara stared at it. As he then stretched out his own right hand and held Naruto up. "So Gaara, how does it feel to have met someone who have a stuffed animal in them like yourself?" "Someone like me?" Gaara said curiously, as he looked like he didn't know that Naruto was a Jinchuriki. "I don't know," he said. "You're like me," Naruto said, "so I don't dislike you. I think I will like all Jinchurikis. We're more than humans after all," Naruto said, with a small smile. Later that day, "What are you doing out here by yourself?" said Kushina, as she walked towards Naruto, who was sitting on top of the Kazekage's residence by himself. "I was worried when you suddenly disappeared." "Sorry for making you worry, Mom," Naruto said. "I've just been having a lot on my mind," Naruto said. "The atmosphere is really lovely," said Kushina. Naruto nodded. "It is," he said. "The people here are truly different." "You know, I've been a hypocrite," said Naruto. "Why would you say that?" asked Kushina. "Well, I speak about my distaste of human. But you're human and I like you," Naruto said. "You're always pushing me to make friends and all that. Seeing the people of this village, seeing the parents playing with their kids, I saw how happy the parents were. I want to make you that happy as well, said Naruto. And I believe it would be good for me. Hearing that, a warm smile came on Kushina's face. But, Naruto said, what is it? What's the problem, dear? She asked. I don't know how. Gaara is like me, we're the same. And we could become good friends, but I just don't know how. As Kushina looked at him, just do what you did with Shikamaru. I know that you're not exactly friends, but that is how friendships start, Naruto. Be yourself and don't pretend to be something you're not. I know we won't have those moments as the other family do, but we can make the most of our bonds and try to improve on them, she said. As Naruto nodded, I spoke with the Kyuubi today. Kushina did not tense. She just looked at him. How did it go? She asked. As you can imagine, but I think we got along pretty well, Naruto said. Kushina wasn't surprised. Well, the both of you have a similar outlook on humans. The Kyuubi hate human more than anything. Well, Uchihas come first. Despite being one, and your mother being one, you're not a big fans of humans either. They have done nothing but tormented you. It's the same for the Biju. Humans have done nothing but hunt him and his kind and use them as weapons for years. For a being who has lived for hundreds of years, I would have harbor the same feelings towards humans, Naruto said. How was your relationship? He asked. We didn't have any. I just felt like he needed to be sealed because he was too dangerous, Kushina said. Ultimately, that wasn't my decision or idea. It was Hoshirama Senju who said those words before Mito sealed it within herself. And then it was passed down to me. Because we're humans, we think we have the say over Bijus. They have emotions like us. They have feelings as well, I can tell, Naruto said. I try to be a better human, mother, said Naruto. Do you really think that we can live normal? Kushina nodded firmly. Yes, we can. We just need to give it a try. We have to try. Have some hope. That is what I always told you. You always have, Naruto said. The Sand family remind me of the Uchihas. We always have a good relationship with them. They were humans who got along with us, and they were people we like. Kushina nodded. At least Mikato is still there. Yes, but things will never be the same. I thought I didn't care about them when they disappear, but now this friendship we're creating with the Kazekage family made me realize that I was wrong. I do miss them, and a part of me cared, Naruto said. I miss them too, said Kushina. But that's a part of our life that has been ripped away. We did enjoy it while it lasted, she said. We did, said Naruto. The next day, Kushina had worked the wonders on Gaara, and now he was sound asleep. It was a rather risky part. By reconstructing the seal that held the Biju inside of him, Kushina had to add a few things on the seal to make it work stronger and different from the original. And Kushina did all preparations, setting at least 2 barriers, that's in case anything happened. She certainly didn't want to repeat what had happened when she was giving birth to Naruto. But the sealing went along without a hitch or any complications. Gaara would be free from Shikaku's torments, and he will no longer hear the Bichu's voice unless he wanted to. And that was what Raza believed that would make his son valuable again. It was interesting how the man viewed things based on value. Perhaps it's because of ninjutsu. If Naruto wasn't wrong, the man used gold dust. But it was disappointing that he put value on his family. Family was family, and nothing could change that. It didn't matter how pathetic or useless that person was, in Naruto's eyes, they were still family. As Kushina was exhausted from the ceiling, and she was currently taking a nap. You really care for your mother, Temari said as she walked into the room, as Kushina was asleep as Naruto was at her bedside. Was there any doubt, Naruto asked, without turning to look at Temari. Temari shook her head. Your attachment towards your mother is just a little surprising. You're unlike those other kids with mother complexes, she said, as she stopped right beside him. Mother what? Naruto said. Before Temari could say anything, Naruto spoke again. There's nothing unnatural with my attachment with my mother. Perhaps I am just close to her because she's the only one I have. I am wounded by that, Temari said in a playful manner. Why? Said Naruto as he didn't recognize a playful manner. Well, Temari said, seeing that he didn't recognize she was joking. Well, I'm your fiancé. When you say that your mother is all you have, how do you think it made me feel? Naruto stared at her for a few moments, as he then realized she wasn't being serious. He smiled, slightly though. I usually forgot that we have an agreement. So you really should form part of my life. I remember saying that we have to learn to live with this, or it will never become something right. You know, said Temari, you don't act like your age. You think rather deep. Life has forced me to grow up and act this way, said Naruto. Do you think it will happen, said Temari. For as long as I can remember, I was informed since I was a Kazekage's daughter, I would get married off to someone for political reasons. I think I have come in terms with that as my responsibility towards my father and my village. This is more than politics, Naruto said. Temari nodded. There's a lot of things involved, but I'm glad. It's with someone like you. I hope that within years to come, you're still this kind to me and my family. Kind? This is perhaps the first time I've been accused of being kind, said Naruto. Accused, Temari said as she chuckled a bit. To say you're kind is not an accusation. As Naruto narrowed his eyes. Naruto, can I talk to you? Raza said as he was leaning against the door frame. Naruto looked at his mother thinking he didn't want to leave her at a time like this. He wanted to be by her side. Don't worry, Temari said as she placed a hand on his shoulder. I will look after her. She is my mother-in-law. As she gave him a warm smile, Naruto smiled back at her, as he then got up. But his eyebrow was twitching. He still didn't like to share his mother. Naruto then went over towards the fourth Kazekage. What is it that you wish to speak to me about? Kazekage-sama, Naruto said. I am happy that your relationship with my daughter is steadily improving. I don't have to worry about you not getting along with her in the years to come. As Naruto said nothing, as Raza spoke again. Both the Hokage and I made the contract because we had our own reasons. If I were to put it bluntly, I would say you're not the first thought. But we did it for the sake of the village, Raza said. Your mother only agreed because she thought of you. Do you know why that is? Mother loved me and desire for me to be happy as I grow up, Naruto said. As Raza then explained, your mother saw that the kids in your generation was taught to dislike you. Because of that, she feared that you may not have someone when you grew up. So she picked Temari, who had a brother for Jinchuriki and could certainly understand you. I am already aware of this, Naruto said. What is it that you want? I don't want to sound impolite, but I get itchy when someone tries to go around what they want to say. Raza merely smiled and waved Naruto off. The decision was made before you got acquainted with the Yamanaka girl. Naruto hearing that frowned slightly. He wasn't surprised that a man such as Raza would know about his relationship with Ino. The man was a Kazekage after all, and he was also going to marry the man's daughter. It was contracted that he would keep an eye on him, but that wasn't what was making him frown. Are you threatened that I would like Ino and end up leaving your daughter? There is that choice after all, Naruto said. I won't deny that, but I can't say I'm threatened. I'm just worried. You seem to be getting along just fine with my daughter though. That gives me hope, Raza said. Kages, you're all the same, Naruto said. Your villages always come first. You don't use cheap words like here or like. You use value or valuable. That make me important, right? Because I'm valuable. If there is anything that you would require, feel free to ask me. The bottom line is you can come to me for anything that you need, Raza said. I see, Naruto said. I guess I can enjoy the benefits of being valuable to you. My natural element is win. I will require scrolls that will make me get better at it. Raza raised the eyebrow. Naruto sure didn't waste time. You do know that I cannot give you treasure jutsus that belong to the village, right? That's news to me, said Naruto. As far as I remember, I am engaged to your daughter, which made me your family and technically a part of the Sand Village. My mother just helped Gaara, and if my memory is not going, she's a Fuinjutsu master that can teach your people a few things. Of course helping me out right now with the scrolls, meaning that I will be forever grateful to you in the future. Or perhaps you're just going to backtrack on what you just said, Naruto said. As Raza just stared at Naruto. Perhaps he underestimated the blonde. Sarutobi had said that he wasn't stupid, but he never expected this. He never really talked to Naruto on this level before, but now he can see he was something else. And if I say I still cannot do that, Raza asks. As he was just curious, he was going to give Naruto what he want, but he just wanted to hear Naruto respond. Naruto shrugged as he turned away, heading back to his mother. As the way he did it, it translated to, then that means I'm not as valuable to you. And even if he refuses, Naruto wouldn't care that much. He would just go back to his mother. Just to be sure, Raza said, you really wouldn't care if I don't give you the scrolls. Naruto nodded, but I also wouldn't care about what you want. If I work out things with Ino, my mother, would still be happy. As Raza just stood there, that shocked look on his face. What has he brought into his house? This boy was definitely a genius. But guys, we'll be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And stay tuned for the rest of the what is coming your way. But guys, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.